Hey, what's up everyone? So for today's video, I was thinking it would be cool if we tried making a birdhouse. So I thought it would be fun to try making this with different random twigs that you might have outside of your house, and popsicle sticks for the frame so that it's really nice and solid and structurally sound. Alright, so let's get our sketchbook out. So I think this is going to be a pretty straightforward birdhouse. Alright, so this is what I'm thinking. The basic structure is pretty straightforward, but the cool thing about this is we're going to use twigs vertically all along it to give it a really cool looking, kind of more natural effect. So let's get started. So today's materials, I'm going to be using a few different things. We're going to start with the structure, so I'm going to use a bunch of popsicle sticks. And as usual, we have our glue gun. One really cool tool I've found for cutting popsicle sticks in half are just a pair of pliers, because when you cut it like that, it actually makes a pretty smooth cut and it doesn't really splinter. I also have a whole bag of twigs that we're going to use towards the end to cover all of the walls, but we're just going to start now with the popsicle sticks. I'm thinking size-wise, I kind of want this to be like a popsicle and a half, so I'm going to probably glue these together, but let's just kind of lay out the initial frame that we're thinking about. So this is pretty much what I'm thinking for size. It's not going to be gigantic, you know, it's just going to be a small little birdhouse. So I'm going to make this in two parts. I'm going to start with the bottom, just the actual house frame, and then separately we will make the roof. All right, so let's get started on this frame. I'm going to just take popsicle sticks and put them all along it to make some initial structure. All right, so let's get gluing. Alright, so we have a good bottom frame here. I'm going to do the same thing for the top. So we got a top and a bottom, and I think honestly the easiest way to figure out the height is if we just base it on one popsicle stick, but let's see how tall that's going to look. I'm going to do like a stick and a half. Alright, so we got four corners, so I'm just gonna glue a few on and see how this goes structurally. So this is our rough birdhouse frame. You know, it's not perfect, but that's fine. It doesn't really matter. It's all going to be covered in twigs and look really rustic and cool. It's really not a big deal right now, and I'm going to add a few more supports along this just to give it a little bit of extra structure. This is going to become more and more stable every time we add more layers to it. You know, this is the bare bones version right now, really the skeleton of it. By the end of this is going to be covered in twigs, and it's going to be much more structurally sound. All right, so let's put some supports on here. Alright, so this looks probably a little crazy right now, but this is going to be the structure of a birdhouse. Maybe we'll just make the roof right now as a separate piece. Alright, so let's put this aside. Let's work on the roof. So I'm actually going to take these and glue them on an angle so that I can kind of rest this on top afterwards. All right, so here's our basic roof. That's going to be the basic frame of our birdhouse. So I'm thinking about making the roof removable so that you can kind of clean it out year over year, but we're going to put the roof aside and we're just going to cover this thing with a bunch of twigs. So I'm just going to dump all of these out and we're going to try and like sort through them and figure out what's going to be the best for the sides. Alright, so we have 3 piles now. So we have large sticks, medium sticks, and small sticks. I think a mix of the medium and the small ones will look pretty good. And maybe we'll throw a bit of all of them in here and there just to, you know, make it look really cool. Alright, so let's get gluing. Alright, so how's the front looking so far? Obviously there's a ton of holes behind it. I can definitely fill it in with the smaller twigs, but I think I'm going to leave it for now so that I can kind of fill in all of it afterwards. And so right now I'm just going to start doing a bunch of bigger twigs all along the sides. The front part's the most awkward one because I have to account for that extra gap, but I think the rest of this is going to go a bit more quickly. Let's start on this side. Alright, so we got one side done, we got the front done, and hopefully I have enough twigs. We'll find out though. Alright, so I'm going to flip this over and do the other side now. Alright, so we got the front, we got 2 sides, and they're looking pretty good. I'm trying to figure out the bottom. I honestly might just cover in popsicle sticks so it just has a nice solid flat bottom. But let's do the back first and then we'll kind of decide. Got our back side done, and we got both sides, and we got our front done too. And I am going to cover the bottom in popsicle sticks. Right, you know what? I'm just gonna start gluing one at a time. Alright, so there's our bottom. Able to get that on pretty quickly. I'm gonna put some extra supports just across this whole thing. I think that's a pretty good bottom. Let's check it from the inside. Looks nice and solid from in there. I think this will work as our initial birdhouse frame. Let's put this aside and do our roof. So that's our roof. I think it actually turned out pretty good. I mean, obviously this birdhouse is not waterproof in any way, but you know, if you want to make it waterproof, there are definitely things you can do. You can put things like Mod Podge on to make the whole thing a bit more waterproof for birds. But yeah, all in all, this is pretty much what we got, top and bottom. So let's try putting them together. There we go. Very creepy if it was a shack to live in, but pretty cool for a birdhouse. Instead of gluing this on, I'm gonna just do some zip ties on this because I don't want this to be permanently attached. I want the roof to be able to come off. So if I just use a few zip ties, then I can just kind of snip it off and retie them at some other point. All right, so I have a few zip ties here, and I'm probably gonna do 4, 1 in each corner. There we go, nice and solid. All right, so now you just come in here and snip the edges. And that is it. Here is our birdhouse. Let's see, what do you guys think? Well, that's it for today's video. You know, if you like this video, I'd love for you to like and subscribe and check back next time we make a video. Thanks everyone, bye.